Hey folks, Matt here with HuntScore, and today we're going to talk about the Arizona draw. Particular, how do you apply to Arizona and use the HuntScore platform to pick out those hunts? We're going to go here and select Arizona. We're going to look at elk, but it really doesn't matter what species you're looking at. The draw will be the same whether you're resident or non-resident. They always function the same. So we're going to look at Explore draws here. If you're not familiar with the Arizona draw, either take a look at the Arizona Game and Fish website or go over to our blog and check out our blog that describes how the Arizona draw works. Basically, you've got three passes. In the first pass, it's called the bonus point pass, and holders with the or applicants with the highest bonus points are going to be drawn first. It's functions a lot like a preference points draw in, let's say, Wyoming or Colorado, where those folks that have been applying the longest and have built up the most points, they have a portion of tags that are allocated to them to draw. So in Arizona, it's 20% of the overall quota. The people with the highest points will be drawn. And then after that, it's random, but in Arizona, it's weighted based on the number of bonus points you have. Okay, what you're going to see here is a map's going to load, and it's going to show you all the units for the draw year that had, hunt codes available to apply in. So you could go back here and you could select different years if you wanted to see different hunt codes across the year. But one of the things that we do is we work on mapping these hunt codes to the current year regulations. So what you might see is, depending on when regulations are pushed out versus when we get the data loaded, these may all be what we would call kind of our internal hunt codes, and you can see some of them here. Basically, Arizona changes the number every year, or potentially could change the number of a hunt. So we have to create a mapping system to try to basically map year over year those hunts to keep them consistent so you can see what the draw odds are. So if you see a code like this, we do have a blog post explaining how that code is created and what that means. So, in this case, it's going to be Unit 5B North is basically the unit that you can hunt in. And, here we just map it to 5B, but basically it's the northern portion of that unit. It is for elk. It's basically the second season or second set of opportunities in that unit, and we rank that based on date. So there's another hunt that came before that. It's for female. It's archery, again archery, and it's a limited license type. So that's basically the way those hunt codes are built internally. And then what we would do is once the regulations are published, like in this case, it's 2021 data in the table, but we've mapped it to the 2022 regulations. So, oops, didn't want to click on that. Let's go back for a second. So you've got the 2022 regulations where we've actually mapped to that hunt code. So it makes it a lot easier for you to apply when you actually go to do your application. Another thing you're going to see here is all the information about that particular hunt code or hunt number, as they might call it in the regulations, like what the manor is, the season, kind of a general season that we map it to, the dates for that season, the sex that you can take, whether it's either sex, male, female, and then the type. In this case, you're going to have some youth license types, for instance, for elk. So if you're looking for youth, you could filter down to that. And then after that, you're going to have a couple fields that are just pre-populated. But if you want to add a lot more fields, you can click this Add Remove Fields column, and you're going to see a whole host of fields to add on here. First, they start with kind of our three primary scores, if you want to use those, the HuntScore, Cruiser Score, Trophy Score. And then really our 9 core components to make up those scores, which are access, convenience, opportunity, etc. If you're not familiar with this, go over to the blog, check out the HuntScore methodology, and okay. In any case, for Arizona, what we're going to care about is, let's see here. We're going to select non-resident, first choice draw odds. We're going to grab second choice draw odds and third choice draw odds just as we um, go about filling out our application. Same thing for resident, you select your different draw choices here. And then we're going to look at, it's called preference points. It's really bonus points in Arizona. We'll get that label updated. And we're also going to look at the min odds. So we're going to grab all of that. Oh, and one other thing that we might want to do here is we're also going to grab the bonus points. Okay, so what do we got here now? Well, what we can look at is our odds of drawing. This is overall for first choice, so for all applicants. Now, again, if you're in Arizona and you've been applying for any period of time, you might have bonus points built up. Each year you apply and you're unsuccessful, you can build up a bonus point, or you can just purchase a bonus point during the. You can actually select the number of bonus points that you have, and it'll update in the table. And it initially populates with 0 bonus points. So folks who have 0 bonus points going into the draw, this is what their odds are. Okay, let's deep dive in here a little bit more and actually talk about filling out a draw. So let's say we're interested in applying for an elk hunt in Arizona, and we're going to do archery. We feel like taking the old bow out after some elk, and gosh, I would say we probably want to have a chance at either a bull, really, and what else? We probably want to have some public land to hunt because we don't have access to private. So let's go ahead and say that there has to be at least 40% or more public land in the unit. Great. One of the things you're going to notice when you apply these filters, if you've got the map in view, you apply the filter and it will go ahead and eliminate units that can't meet the filter requirement. So in this case, public land, maybe we're actually up to 60. You can see we lose a couple more units. If we're concerned about, let's say, terrain, we can come down here and add that and put the terrain score on. And let's say, gosh, we'd really like a unit that's not too crazy steep. Now, the way the terrain score works is the lower the score, the steeper it is, the higher the score, the flatter it is. So let's say we might set that at 70. So we set that to 70, and good. We don't really lose any units. Arizona is not necessarily too steep. We said go up to 80. You can see we lose some units, and it makes sense that these units are pretty much located where the mountainous regions are, or more mountainous regions of Arizona. But let's go back to 70 and say 70 is okay. Okay, so from there, now we could actually start to look at our situation and what hunts might be available. In this case, let's say we're a resident and we have 5 points going into the draw. So let's say that the maximum number of points, oops, that's non-resident. Let's go over here. Min resident preference points, bonus points in this case, is 5. So the maximum is 5 because we have 5, right? We don't have 6, we don't have 7. So we got to look at hunts that have 5 or less to draw. And there we go. We can see we lose some more units, but we still have quite a few to select from and a number of hunt choices. Now, at odds at min resident points. So this is actually the probability of drawing that particular code with that number of points. So in this case, if we have 3 points, our odds of drawing with 3 points were 59.57%. If you had 4, 100%. If you have 5, 100%, right? So if you have above that minimum threshold, you're going to draw. But if you had exactly 3 points, that's the odds that you would have going into that draw. So any of these hunts up here, we could definitely draw. This one, 50% chance of drawing. So, we may or may not want to select that one. If we did want to go for that particular hunt, and what unit is it? Let's see here, it's unit 8. Then we probably want to go over here and look, okay, we know that we have a 50% chance of drawing in the bonus point round, but if we don't draw in the bonus point round, what are our odds going to look like in that first choice? So what we're going to care about here is the res bonus points odds column. And we're going to go over here and say, well, if we had 5 points, what's it look like? Well, we're still only at about a 50% chance of drawing. So there were enough applicants in that particular draw that after the quota was met for the preference points rounds, there's still only about a 50% chance, even when we have 5 points. That's not always going to be the case. Sometimes it could be higher, but in this particular case, it is. If we wanted to set a filter here, we could say, are there other hunts where we have a better chance? Let's say like a 70% chance. And yeah, 3180, is a hunt where we would have a better chance. And we could look and see that's in 70 instead of 8. So when you see this -1, that's basically that the odds aren't computed for that particular code, and it's typically going to be because the preference points that you've selected or the bonus points in this case, your bonus points are greater than the minimum needed. In other words, you have a 100% chance of drawing with those bonus points. So if we wanted to deep dive into one of these hunt codes, we could, and just select it over here and open it in a new window. And you're going to be able to jump in and actually see trends over time. Up top, you'll just see the overall odds and how they've trended over the last several years. Then you'll see the license quota. This is a good one to look at to see if it's been increasing or decreasing over time. And you can see it's been pretty constant over the last 5 years. So not too worried about the quota changing and impacting the next year's hunt. Although you probably want to reference the regulations to see, okay, does it look like the quota is constant this year? If it's decreasing, that could lower your odds of drawing. Might make it a little harder. And then you can look at first choice applicants to see, has that been pretty stable or is it increasing or decreasing? In this case, there was kind of an increase last year, but anybody who knows last year, it was kind of the COVID year, and we probably had a lot more new hunters applying that hadn't applied before. So good chance we're going to get back down to sort of the state where we were in 2020, 2019. And then lastly, you're actually going to see a plot of both the bonus point totals for residents and non-residents coming into the hunt, and then you'll see this resident, non-resident kind of breakout where you can see what the odds are across residents and non-residents, and our predicted odds for each of those bonus points. Again, if you get beyond the minimum needed, in that table it shows a -1. Here you're not going to see it because you won't see anything predicted, because once you get beyond that minimum, if you're beyond that minimum up here, just know that your odds of drawing are 100%. These tables are also responsive in case you want to zoom in and get a better view. And then bonus point creep. In this case, for that bonus point round, has it been increasing, decreasing over time? We can see this unit has generally been increasing. A quirk about the Arizona data, prior to 2021, they did not actually provide a split by resident and non-resident for the minimum points needed. It was just all grouped together in the data. This year they actually broke it out, so now we can see the difference between residents and non-residents. Okay, that is a great example of selecting, let's say, your first choice. But what about your, second, third choice um, opportunities? Well, when we get into, in particular, we're gonna look at your third choice. Um, and when you get to your third choice round, it's often the case that the entire quota has already been met. So every year there's thousands of people who apply across, Western hunts, thousands of people in Arizona who are going to fill out their application incorrectly. When they get to their third, fourth, fifth choice, they're going to select hunts that actually don't have any quota left. So to make sure that you're not one of those folks who fill out their application incorrectly, just go ahead and get rid of this preference points filter and go over to third choice draw odds. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that when you apply for a third choice or fourth or fifth, that there are actually tags left. In other words, the minimum better be greater than 0, so let's set it to 1. Now, if, again, we have our other filters applied, we're looking for pretty flat terrain, we're looking for good access, public land access. There's really only one hunt that still has tags available in the third choice round where you have any opportunity of drawing, and that's 3180. Now, if you wanted to relax, put that back at 1. If you wanted to relax some of these other filters, you might have some other opportunities. Let's say we get rid of the terrain filter. Do we add anything? Nope, nothing there. And let's get rid of the access filter. How about now? Add anything there? No, doesn't look like it. Make sure we don't have any other filters applied. Maybe it's the fact that we're looking for bull elk hunt. What if we get rid of these and we're willing to take a cow? Now we have some hunts available. So often the case that if you're in a limited quota system, once you get outside of that primary hunt, or once you get outside of that first draw, there's not a lot of tags that make it to the third, fourth, fifth choice. So that's an example of using HuntScore system to fill out your Arizona draw. Hopefully that's been helpful, and good luck this season in applying.